Hey everybody, in today's video we're going to be talking about Coastline and optimizing the setup for it so that you can win more of your ranked games and just more of your defenses in general on the map. This is a pretty attacker favored map, slightly attacker favored map I guess, so setting it up the optimal way is going to be the best way to win more of your defenses and in turn more of your games. So for these site setups we're just going to be using smoke. You can use mute though, you can use castle, mirror, anyone with a shotgun pretty much can do these setups. The nice thing about smoke too is he does have a shield, so we'll go over shield placement if you have one of those as well. But other than that, let's just start. So the first site we're going to talk about is the Hookah and Billiards bomb site. This is probably the most classic site on the map. Personally, I don't think it's the best, but it's the one that most people go to most often, so that's where we're going to start. So in terms of reinforcements on this site, you'll want to reinforce the two vase walls. What this allows you to do is just sit in either corner without being shot through from the balcony. So if the attackers were to shoot holes in here, you can't really sit here safely. You'd only be able to sit on this side safely. So you do want to make sure you reinforce both these walls on either side of the hookah door. The next wall you're going to want to grab is this middle hookah wall, and then this wall as well. This wall is just going to protect you from any enemies on 90, so if the attackers get into there or if they get into VIP, they won't be able to just spray you through this wall. So reinforcing this is good. And then you kind of have this anchor position in hookah where you can sit on the reinforcement and you're blocked safely from this side of anybody coming over there. So you grab, again, 1, 2, 3, that's 4 of your walls. You'll want to get all 4 of these quad walls just for safety purposes. Now, once you hit like higher ranks or higher levels, sometimes people do open up this last one, but for the basics of it, I would just reinforce all 4. So with the extra 2 walls, you can do one of 2 things. You can either reinforce off these 2 VIP walls. That way, if the attackers do get into VIP, they can't make these very strong lines of sight into the site. So that's a really good reason to reinforce it, of course. Now, the other thing you could do is make a rotate into here if your team actually wants to extend out into VIP and reinforce these 2 outer VIP walls. Now, this is personally, I think, the better way to do it, but it is a little more complicated and does require more teamwork. So if you are on the higher end of ELO, or if you just have great faith in your teammates or good teamwork, then this is a good way, is extending out into here. And you could even set up some alibi prismas and hold this with, you know, a shotgun or something along those lines. A mute would be really good to extend out there just to get rid of the info, jam off the wall, etc. So that'll be all 10 walls. We'll just assume that you're going to reinforce these 2 for now. Now let's talk about some of the rotates. Okay, so I put up all the default walls just for hookah for now, minus the quad walls, so these will all be reinforced as well, but I have all the other reinforcements put down just so it's a little easier to understand. So at smoke, you have to make the rotates, the holes, the open the hatches for your teams to drop through, etc, etc. So which ones do you want to open and why? Ideally, you make a little rotate here, because this allows your teammates to rotate in and out of hookah to cool vibes. So you can actually sneak people in here. If there's a guy on the balcony, you can kind of sneak past it there. So this is just a good rotation to have. Now, this rotation's a little different. So what some people do is a crouch rotate on the right, a crouch rotate on the left, a vault rotate on the left, or a vault rotate on the right. So those are the 4 options for rotates on this wall. And personally, I think the vaultable rotate on the right side of the wall is the best. Now, make it as close to the right side as you can, so then you have this vaultable rotate. And then what you'll want to do is make a little hole here and some above head holes, I guess, throwable holes, I guess we'll call this, over here. So what this allows you to do is throw your smokes back here while you're still in cover to deny the default plant where people will be planting right here, an attacker. The other reason you want to make this vaultable and as far to the right as you can is because this angle right here allows you to shoot the planter. So if they do have a guy covering from Aqua, this little piece of wall will actually give you a little bit extra time in cover from this guy, and you might be able to swing out here real quick and just deny the plant before the cover can shoot you. Whereas if you have this whole wall open, you now have to cross this big space, and you have that extra half second that the attackers gain an advantage to actually shoot you when you're running over to this corner to deny the plant. Now, the other thing you could do is, with this wall up as well, is you could actually prone all the way over here and pop up and deny the plant like that. So those are some really good strategies to use, because typically you'll have an attacker back here watching the rotate to cover the plant, but if you pop up on this side, he might not be able to flick to you and kill you before you actually down the planner and say there's low time. Like, you could really honestly just win the round off that more often than not, to be honest. The other thing you'll want to do is make some holes on this default plant. That way, if they are planting here and you have a teammate underneath, he can actually deny the plant from underneath. I also like to make these ones behind the billiards table, because again, some people will plant on this side of the pool table for cover and their head will tuck down a bit. Open up the hatch. This way your team can just rotate and flank anybody who is coming in underneath. And I like to also make this little hole here beside the aqua bar, because this will show you the left side office. So if any attackers come into office, say they're trying to clear out your teammates underneath and they come around like this, then these holes are really strong. So that's pretty much it for the holes you're going to want to make. I personally like to leave the hookah hatch closed. Oh, actually, I also do like opening these holes as well. These are optional. So these just let you peek off this reinforcement to the guys on 90, but if they're not on hookah balk, you could also peek them from this side. So it just adds an extra layer of difficulty for the attackers. But you do have to be careful, because if you're sprinting through sight and don't realize there's a guy down here, you might just get shot in the side of the head. So this is, if you're in higher ranks, like I would say plat up, you could make these holes. Plat low, though, I'd probably just keep them closed, because it might just hurt you more than it actually help. Okay, so back to the hookah hatch for a second, which I did mention very briefly there, but I like to keep the hookah hatch closed, because if you open it up, an attacker in Sunrise can actually look up the hatch and kill you while you're on this reinforcement, so it is a little risky. But you can open it like later in the round, like say you want to hit a flank on anybody underneath, you can open it up and drop, and maybe you're flanking a guy cool vibes. So maybe you use a smoke here just to stall them. You open the hatch, you drop, and then you come and you can flank the guy cool vibes. Now it is very loud opening the hatch, so ideally you're doing it while they're grenading or while they're flashbanging or something like that to actually make some more noise. Or you've opened it earlier and you drop it like 30 seconds later or something along those lines, right? Hey guys, I just went to the dentist, so my mouth is a little frozen right now, but I forgot to mention this earlier when I recorded the video. You can also make these holes along the bottom of the aqua wall, so that way if they are standing on this side of aqua, you can see their feet and shoot them through the wall kind of thing. And they're pretty strong. There's no point really not to make them, unless you're actually going to be playing around the aqua area to contest and push in, because then you can kind of use it for cover. But if not, make the holes. That's pretty much it. Yeah, I mean, you do have a lot of time on this site to set up, especially if you're smoking. You don't have to reinforce anything. You can just make the rotates, the head holes, the plant holes, this hole, and then you're pretty much good to go. You can put your shield down. And the best shield spot, I believe, is this vase area right here, because this shield allows you to sit and actually watch the push in through the hookah door. And I talked about this for a little bit on one of my more recent videos, which is the card that will pop up right now. But this shield is just really strong. It gives you constant info on this doorway, and if there's no shield, you kind of have to peek like this. But you could just hold this. When you see them running in, pre-fire them, they're dead. If you know that they're not coming VIP side, you could also put your shield like here just for the push into sight, and then you can peek over to kind of throw your smokes. And it also protects you from big window a little more. But this one, like, you could get naded through the floor. They can nade you from big window. They can nade you from aqua. It's not great. The other one is in this hallway to actually contest big window, so you can safely cross this hallway without a guy on the big window rappel absolutely folding your shit in, packing it in there, and making you feel like a tight little burrito boy. So that's it for hookah. Yeah, let's move on. So the next site we're going to talk about, which is probably picked just as often as hookah, would be the kitchen bomb site. I personally really like playing mute on this map. The only problem with mute is you do have to run around a lot to get those mute jammers down. And ideally you're using the mute jammers for info denial on this map, but if you're the only one with a shotgun, you tend to spend most of your prep phase time setting up with your shotgun and aren't actually able to get those mutes down as you would like. So typically I just end up running smoke. Reinforcements. Okay, first thing you're going to grab is this wall. This is the most default wall. It protects the line of sight from service all the way through sight, and it is just probably the most important reinforcement on this entire map for any of the sites. You're then going to make a rotate hole crouched on the left side, so as far to the left as you can, because if you make it close to the reinforcement, again, they can't see you from that service entrance door. This one you could also make sprintable if you want, because what will happen a lot of the time is teams will go above and open here, and if they open that, you want to get out of there as fast as you can so you don't get absolutely folded. So opening this sprintable is also, it also works. It also makes those 1v1s, if you get into those clutch situations, like you can actually come through this standing or crouching. It makes just more options for you as a defender. These kegs walls, usually you 100% get the left two. Sometimes teams will make a rotate on the right, like a rotate hole here, and extend it into lobby. I would say just reinforce it, just because it makes things more simple. And then if you're trying to like counter people in specific Pacific Atlantic Ocean ways, then maybe you decide to open it up the next round or whatever. So all 3 kegs walls done and dusted. So that's 4 of your walls. You still have 6 more, and this is a site where you can kind of move the walls around depending on what you want to do. But what I like to do is these 2, and then make footholes along the bottom of this wall. And what that does is it blocks off all the lines of sight from courtyard. So if they come courtyard and they try to like spray through this wall, anybody back here isn't going to get absolutely smoked, right? So it will cover you from that, and then these footholes here will make it so that if the other team is pushing the west side over, so if they're coming Sunrise and Blue Bar and stuff, and they're trying to push in through the kitchen door, you can have a guy in lobby actually contesting this kitchen door. And these footholes are very, very strong, so I would just use them all the time. And there's really no downside to making them is the big thing. So if an attacker is here and they see all these walls are reinforced, all they have to do is push in and take the gunfights in sight, right? There's no worries about the right side here. The other thing too is if you're in courtyard, you can see their feet, you can see them push in, and you can have that cross on the site. So not reinforcing these 2 walls is super, super important. So with the remaining walls, here's a couple of your options. You can reinforce both these 2 couches walls to cover your back and play in here and kind of contest the entrance into Sunrise. You could even reinforce the hookah hatch if you wanted, or you could open the hookah hatch, play up here to contest attackers coming in here. You can come all the way up to theater to hold the site from above, which is another way to do it, and you can reinforce these 2 outer VIP walls, which are also really good. And what that allows you to do is make holes above the kitchen window and above the kitchen door to actually hold the push into sight from the floor above. Okay, so what other holes do we have to make us smoke? We've made the rotate on site, and that's probably about it right now. Maybe these holes above it, and then these holes as well. So the other ones we'll want to make is these holes on the kegs plant. And personally, I also like making these little service holes. Now, this is way too big. You do not want them to be able to rotate through here. So just aim lower at the ground like this when you're making them, so that way you don't mess up like Big Boy Pox did just right here. What these footholes allow you to do is hold the push into service from lobby. Now, if you don't make these footholes, attackers can theoretically push all the way up to here without you knowing, theoretically, and kind of hold these powerful angles in the site. Now, these holes at least doesn't let them plant, so if they plant here, you can see them from lobby, but it's a little sketchier to plant with this. But if they do get to kegs, it's kind of all over for you. So that's why I like to make these holes, is just so you have that info and they don't feel safe to actually just sit in service like this. Another thing you can do with smoke is make these holes in the blue bar floor, and what this does is any attackers coming in through blue bar to maybe pinch the guys in Sunrise will have to now worry about their courtyard when pushing through. So they can't just run through here and go like this and kill the guy Sunrise or whatever. They have to now be concerned with anybody in lobby or courtyard that may be holding their blue bar. So if you're a defender playing in Sunrise holding that mud entrance like we talked about, and you have a teammate who's willing to do this and hold your blue bar, this is a really strong spot to be in. Now, you do have to be careful of the roof, so maybe you just play it from back here. You might get shot in the toes a bit. That's when you just want to run away. This is a really good way to support your player literally on the other side of the map. Literally on the other side of this floor, you're supporting him from way back here, just so that way he can't be pushed from behind. So that's a good way to do it. Of course, you have your security to worry about. So either you have another guy in here or you just barricade it off. That way you get the sound cue if they are coming through here, and you switch from fighting blue bar to fighting these guys. So there's a lot of ways to work around it, but that is the general site setup for kitchen. Now, unfortunately, I did move on to the blue bar site, but I forgot to mention where the shield should go for kitchen. So you won't see the bombs here, but typically you would have the kitchen bomb here. So putting your shield here in kitchen is a good way to contest this doorway. You can quick peek off it as they push in. You can use your smokes from back here, etc. So this is a good one for kitchen, but if you think they're going to go for that service take, then you'll have the service bomb here, and you can actually place your shield right off the side of it, which will allow you to contest service with your smokes as well, or peek off the shield to contest people coming in through service. So that's where you would put your shield for the kitchen site. Okay, moving on to blue bar for real now. What you want to do on the blue bar and sunrise site is reinforce these 2 mud walls and make some footholds along the bottom of the other mud wall. So now if attackers hop in through here, you can see they're hopping from couches, and this also makes it so they can't just open up this wall and sprint in behind the bomb for that plant. Wow, I am failing right now. How come can you not vault on these anymore? Did they change this? Oh no, you can, okay. This is where the typical plant would be. They would open up this wall, come in here and plant. So now they're required to actually bring a hard breacher if they do want to open this wall. Otherwise, they're gonna have to feed through the door, which makes it a lot easier for you as a defender to contest. This rotate is super, super strong as well. This is super important. Just connects the 2 sites, but the other thing it does is allows you to hold that mud hop in, that window hop in from all the way out here in office. So you can see they're hopping through the window and shoot them through the wall as they hop in. And that would be, of course, if no attackers are taking the office side. So if they're going straight for that sunrise push, then you can use the rest of the map to contest the push in. So the other 2 walls here are going to be these 2, the same as you would on the kitchen site, and then you're going to want to open these head holes to throw nitros or smokes on the default plant on the A-bomb. So you can use that A-bomb to nitro the plant or smoke the plant from here. So these throwable holes, again, are also very strong. There's a couple options to do on this wall. You can either open up this as a rotate and reinforce this one, which is how I like to do it, but it is a little sketchy because they can get into that bathroom and hold an angle through here. So honestly, for ranked, you probably just want to reinforce both of these off. You're going to want to get the hatch as well. That's going to be pretty important, so we'll make it 7 there. And then for the rest, you can either do 8, 9 on the blue bar walls and then a single reinforcement upstairs, or you could not reinforce the blue bar walls at all and bring 3 reinforcements upstairs and actually do a little bit of a top floor hold, so that way you're just contesting the pushes in. For rank purposes, I would probably just recommend reinforcing those site walls. These blue bar holes, again, are also really important. This allows you to see anybody planting behind the bar. Now, careful, because attackers can open this wall and plant backwards on it, and you actually can't see them from these holes. So this is a really good plant spot if you're an attacker. I'll show you what I mean here. You can kind of sit on your breach and plant like this, and then you're covered from lobby side. But yeah, again, these holes allow you to play in courtyard or in lobby and contest the entire site pretty much. So if you are going to reinforce a wall upstairs, I would recommend just doing this hookah wall. And this just allows you to play vase for a little bit, shoot some drones if they try to drone on a hookah. Maybe you're shooting a couple drones over here, and then you're just kind of falling off and giving it up. That way, you're wasting a little bit of time, wasting a little bit of info, and it's just kind of a mini extension you can do. So that's what you can do with the last wall. Either that, or probably actually more preferable would be to reinforce this kitchen wall, because reinforcing this and doing maybe some punch holes in this wall, like something along these lines, then you can kind of hold the service, walk in, they don't know which hole you're on. You might get absolutely smoked off that, but you can also swing off the door here. But this just allows somebody to play in kitchen to actually hold this space without just being beamed through the wall with a 100 round mag from Finca or 150 round mag from Zofia just spraying through the kitchen wall. So reinforcing this is actually also very important. Now, the other thing you can do is you can make some holes along this wall, and this will just allow you to watch the kitchen hall push up. It'll allow your kitchen player to help out if they push courtyard. You can kind of go prone and use these a little bit. It'll allow your courtyard players to help the kitchen hop in. You could actually even do these a little higher if you wanted, just like head level, because then your courtyard guy can kind of help with the kitchen hop in as well, which you can also do from here, but it's kind of whatever there. Now, if you do have guys playing upstairs, opening up the office hatch, I would recommend, because it allows the guys upstairs to help on the office door. You could also make these holes again for the push into office so that anybody upstairs can also contest this. And then if they want any hatches open, you can do that, but it's not really necessary to open any hatches on this one. In terms of your shield on this site, what I personally like to do is put this one facing mud. That just gives you some more info for if they're actually in mud at the door. And then you can, of course, just throw your smokes off this to contest the push in there. Or you can set your shield up like in kitchen facing service, so that way they actually have constant info on this. Or, of course, you can do the same one as like the hookah shield, where you put it up here on Vase to contest the push into Hookah. That just makes so they can't like sledge the floor out and sledge out the guys on site really fast by just walking in and doing it. So this is just a good way to kind of contest this entrance and waste their time, so that way your site players can anchor down a little easier. But you do have to be careful because the attackers could theoretically come through Billiards on you, they could come through VIP, so it is a little riskier, and you might want to have a teammate up here to actually help, otherwise you might just get shot in the side of the head. But it's an option. It's definitely an option. And last but certainly not least, we have the Penthouse and Theater bomb site. Now, I think all of the bomb sites on Coastline are all solid. I think they're all pretty even. Maybe I think Blue Bar is a little weaker, but I think Penthouse is a great site. So I would not turn your nose up at Penthouse. Play Penthouse, guys. Learn to play Penthouse. The big thing for this one is you definitely want to reinforce these back two white walls. Now, okay, maybe not definitely, dude. Maybe I exaggerate a little bit. You could do a rotate through here and extend out into luggage with like a castle or something, but typically you'll reinforce these two walls. I like to reinforce this wall and make a rotate on this one here, or even putting like a crouched mirror window on this one is super good. Throwing a zombie at the bottom of it so they can't shoot your feet through it, and you can quick peek off the mirror. That's if the two of them are up. You'll reinforce this wall, and then you'll do something that most people typically wouldn't do, but you'll make a rotate here through Theater, and then you can place your shield on 90. Now this shield's really good, especially with some ADSs or some Midas here, but then you can also open up this wall, which allows you to kind of contest VIP as well, because you can contest the outer wall from here. Now, if you're not comfortable with that, you can reinforce this, of course, and then just use this shield to hold the hallway, which is probably a safer option, and probably maybe a better option in ranked, especially. I have a very competitive mind in terms of setups. It's very like comp focused, so I'm always thinking teamwork. But if you're not having that teamwork, then sometimes you have to make these changes like reinforcing off this wall instead. Reinforce the other VIP walls just makes sense. Make it harder for them to enter building. If they don't bring a hard breacher on here, keeping these shut is just basically a round win, because what you can then do is just all you have to hold is this hop in, and then you're gonna be making these footholds on the bathroom wall anyway. So if they do drop bathroom, you can literally just shoot them in the side of the head as they drop, or they're proning and they're not moving. You could quick peek and smoke them. And for this wall's a little different. This is the this one is whatever you kind of want to do. You can either reinforce the middle wall and make head holes along the other two sides, or you can reinforce this wall and make head holes along the middle. That way you can kind of peek off of it to contest anyone planning in this area, so if they repel in the big one or whatever. But if they don't open these VIP walls, this is going to be your main hold. So you have two walls. Let's say you got the 90 wall, so that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on this wall. That's 7. So you got 3 walls left. So for the last 3 walls, it's up to you. You can either do both of these walls, that way they can't wall bang you from Billiards, and then you have the shield holding a 90. Or you can extend out over to the Billiard side and reinforce a couple walls over here. Maybe you reinforce this wall and you hold kind of the Hookah aqua area. So if you're not extending, reinforce these walls. This will be kind of like your default. We'll just be reinforcing these walls, okay? But if you want to make the extension, you can move them over here. You could put your shield Vase again and then contest the push in Hookah, because this is kind of like the only entrance into Hookah minus the repel in the window. Okay, so let's say we've done all that. That is the way we have reinforced it. What other holes would we need for this site? Well, I think opening just holes in the floor here where they would typically plant is good, because then if you do have a teammate underneath again, they can shoot up through the floor and actually stop the plant. Another common plant spot is on the bomb here, so maybe you just make some holes under that as well. And you can also make some holes in the floor here just for the push into VIP. So if you have a teammate under there and say an attacker's coming in like this, they get shot in the face from a guy standing right here. So you can do other ones, of course, as well, like the one behind the bed. But at this point, you've probably wasted all your time in prep phase and may not even be setting up anymore. But if you do want to make the holes, those are good options. Popping up the hatch is also very good, and as well as like the luggage and the aqua hatch and the hookah hatch. Ideally, this is also a really good site for like Oryx, because there are all these hatches that he can flank up late. If the attackers are doing like a horizontal clear onto the site, then he can flank any of these hatches later in the round. But opening all these hatches allows your roamers who are extending out to this side to kind of drop down. Let's say you have a Mozzie over here and they're actually just going directly for VIP and stuff. The Mozzie can then drop down the hatch, make his way over to kitchen. Now, of course, not full sprinting because there could be guys down here, but check your angles, check the cameras, see what's going on, make his way into kitchen, and then he can actually use his C4 for like a plant behind the bed, or he can use these holes to watch up to VIP, or he can stop this plant from here. He can use his nitro, etc. So having all these holes and having these hatches open is just setting your teammates up to actually make these honestly just round winning plays later in the round. Now, this site can get a little complicated, so it is a tough one to go to just because a lot of people don't really know how to play it. But ideally, you're kind of sitting a guy in theater here. He's kind of locking down the site. This will probably be like your smoke, using his smokes to stall, and then you kind of hold it from VIP as well. So if they open up the VIP walls, you might be able to contest it from here, depending on if they're on big window or not. You can contest it from the hallway. If you have these holes open, you can contest it from the hallway as well. If you're holding the other side, you can kind of retake through here as well. The castle's really big on this site. Like, you can castle off the windows from the roof, so you can rotate a lot easier. But I love Penthouse. I think Penthouse is a great site, so try not to avoid it as much. Maybe just get a feel for it, play it out, see how it goes. But anyway, guys, that is it for the site setups. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to know other maps, I do have a few others on my channel right now, and I'm hoping to make more in the future, especially with the new map coming out. We'll be covering that one soon. That's it for now, guys. If you enjoyed the content, please subscribe. Take it easy. Peace out.